Hey, so here we go with another shave. I'm bringing back, I keep using my Wolfman WR2, a recent acquisition, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's my third shave. I went to a Balzano blade, which it handled just fine. And today's blade is another really popular blade that's out there, the Feather. When I first started shaving, this would cut me 2 or 3 times per shave. It's because my technique wasn't on point. Give it several months, 6 months later, try it again, really enjoyed it, did just fine. And there may be other blades that happens to you in the same way. So keep your blades around. If you're a beginner, try them again later, is my advice. Now this one's old-ish, 10, 20, 30, 40. This may be the 41st shave on this guy. So he is going to perform a little differently than a young, new feather blade. Let me go ahead and get this silver tip, 3-band. As you can see, we have 3 bands. You can see the light colored and the light colored here, and then the black in between. A 2-band knot looks more like this, where now I mounted this one really high, and so you can actually see some of this band here. But this black band is a lot thicker on a 2-band knot. This one is the, which one's this one? This is the Maggard SHD knot. Here's another 2-band. And here you can definitely see the thickness of that black band. So 3 bands usually have less backbone, less stiffness in the bristles. This is of course the bulb shape, the one I just showed you recently. There was a fan shape. But the 3 bands have nice soft tips as well. Often the 3 bands don't have treated tips, which means that they will last longer. Those the ones with the really light colored tips, like this B5 from Declaration Grooming, the treatments that were done actually weaken the tips, and as long as you have some brushes in your rotation, you're fine. You know, you're probably going to get 20, 25 years of use out of this brush if it's in a rotation. You may only get 5 years out of it if it's your only brush, and it's a treated one, because eventually those tips will kind of break off and that kind of thing. It's likely. All right, the Thader brush, I didn't like it because only one reason is because my hand was really messy at the time, because it's such a small little handle, and I'm a bowl latherer. Well, let's look at the other equipment. Southern Paradise from L&L Grooming. I'm a Southern boy here in the U.S. and I like sweet tea. Well, this has sweet tea, peaches, and an ocean scent to it, and I can pick out all those notes. It is a peach tea kind of flavor, scent. It's not super sticky sweet. It's a little higher than kind of candy sweet, you know. It's more a slight tart peach. I've had some peaches lately, and we get them and we let them get almost just brown and really ripe, and oh, they're so sweet and good. This is a little higher than that. It's not quite that deep and sweet, but it's very enjoyable to smell, and I can pick out an aquatic note in there as well. I may not have been able to do it if I hadn't known about it from the scent description, but it is what it is. Southern Paradise, and of course this is L&L Grooming, and that is the name that it had before L&L joined with Declaration Brushworks to become Declaration Grooming that it is now. All right, and this is definitely a used soap. And it's the Bison base, one of my favorites. Probably my all-time favorite from Declaration Grooming or L&L. And so let's throw a little bit of water on my face. about 24 hours since my last shave, maybe a little less. And I'm going to throw, yeah, let's take apart this. The feathers do have that nasty waxy stuff on them that I don't care for. So I'm interested to see how this blade does in this razor, because it did start to bother me a little bit on some other mild razors. So this may not be a fun experience, but let's try it anyway. This is a titanium handle and stainless steel razor head. I like the balance that it has. I'd probably be fine with a stainless handle as well, from Wolfman. And this did come with one, but it's a high polish Darwin handle. And I didn't want to mark it up. I know I'm not going to keep it because that's just not my style, that particular handle type. So I'm probably going to look to trade it to somebody. All right. We can go ahead. Brush is probably soaked for long enough. Look at this tiny little brush. Here is an average shaped brush handle. Actually, that's a little bit bigger than average, but I really like this kind. Very ergonomic. I enjoy it. And this guy is smaller. All right, I'm going to shake a lot of the water out. And then we will do a 25-second load. That's what I used last time. And let's see what happens when I do that again. We're starting right at the 0 mark. Just kind of moderate to light pressure on the soap, just to splay the bristles a little bit. Yeah, I can smell that peach tea coming up. Three more seconds. There we go. Rinse out the threads here of the soap. Shake out any excess water and leave it to dry while I shave. Now, my hand's probably going to get pretty messy with this, but I'm really focusing on the brush, the knot itself. You know, how comfortable is it? Is it worth tolerating the messy hands? You know, sure did enjoy the smaller knot, maybe a 22 millimeter knot that the 0 size. I was able to try that one, but it was one size smaller in the Lather universe than this one right here. Obviously, if you're a brush latherer, then this guy can be right up your alley, and it's probably a good alternative for people who like softer brushes. All right, that's kind of how it's shaping up, kind of firm-ish. Let us start adding water. Can't remember. I did look at my notes, but I can't remember how much I added. I remembered it was a 25-second load, and it gave me 4 passes of lather. But if that was with a larger brush, then maybe this guy, maybe I should have added a little bit of load time to him, but you know, we'll see. Looks like he's doing all right. Bison base has a nice fatty slickness usually that I really enjoy. The the gluey texture of this new Icarus base sure is nice, but this is kind of the type of slickness, type of feel in the lather that I personally like. Everybody's got their own preferences, right? Looks like it's going well so far. Get my fingers down in there and grab a little soap, test it out. I don't think we're too far from being done. Let's go ahead and put in this last bit. And so that is 2 teaspoons. I like a large shave bowl, a large lather bowl, as you can see, and I don't always use the whole amount. All the real estate that's in the bowl, sometimes, as you can see, I tilt it sideways, stick down to one corner, and then that way it gives the lather somewhere else to be after you make it. So many lather bowls out there are smaller, and maybe it's because guys don't work up the whole lather, you know, at one time. But anyway, that's kind of how I use mine. And then every once in a while I will go ahead and do loops around the whole thing like this, you know. I think we might be ready to go. Let's just take a look at it. I don't have tons and tons of lather like I often do. Kind of feel like he might be about right. All right, let's give it a shot. A little post shave, and I also have pre-shave. I also have the liniment, which is kind of like a balm. I think it's maybe a thick balm, so I'll definitely put some water on my face prior to putting that on, make it easier to spread around. All right, wet my face. See how this little brush feels. Soft, obviously. See if I like the backbone display. In case you're new to shaving, the backbone is the long part of the bristle. You've got the tips, and that's kind of where some of the softness comes from. Definitely some of the scritch and scratch on the more firm brushes. But then the long shaft and its thickness or resistance to bending is the backbone. This little guy needs to be recharged here. There are some really nice brushes around, and that's kind of how I have to weigh it. I don't think this guy is going to be worth keeping around, and even if I went with a bigger handle, taller handle, by getting a bigger size brush. This is the size 1, and so even if I got this size, 2 or 3, which are kind of expensive if you want to buy them new, I don't. I still don't think it would really be big enough. Too much different than what I'm experiencing now. So I think I'll just chalk this up to a good test. It does feel good. I can And I like the handle shape. It does, because it's resin or some type of plastic, you know, it does get slippery when soapy, but it's pretty comfortable, pretty ergonomic. Don't have a problem with the shape of the handle at all. So I'm working the lather, giving it time on my skin to kind of bond with it and to be able to protect it for the shave to come. All right. All right. Let's try this 40 use feather. See if this razor can handle it or if it's rough. It's no slight on this razor if it can't. Doing okay so far. Minor bit of tugging, but it seems like it's being a very efficient shaver here. Yeah, so this blade probably needs to go into a razor that's a little more aggressive than this one, or has I think I've discovered a commonality, and it's nicer if you move older blades into a razor that maybe curves the blade more. Very nice. A little bit of tugging, but after 200 uses with my Nasset blade, tugging is not really a big deal to me, and it wasn't uncomfortable. So this lather is maybe a little wet. You can see I had to go back a few times on that first pass to get a little bit more lather, and you can tweak that, obviously. You could add more soap, but that's kind of a chore to add more soap. It's kind of like adding flour to a gravy. You kind of can't do it once the gravy's already been made. If you need to thicken up, you know, your thing, you almost have to make a slurry and then add it. But another thing you can do when shaving is to just take your towel, dab your face in a few places to make your face drier than normally how it might be after a rinse. So then your skin will suck some of the moisture out of the lather and dry it out just a little bit. Thicken it up, make it more creamy. I'm having to go back again. I think this little brush is just that way. Maybe he doesn't like kind of wet lathers. Not gonna get any brush burn from him, that's good. Almost a cooling effect from this. Peach tea, sweet tea, the ocean, that aquatic note maybe. I wonder if that's giving me a little bit of a, it's not irritating me at all, so that's good. I wonder if that's giving me a little bit of a sense of cooling agent. All right, now this pass is probably going to be comfy. Yep. Just fine. But I do, and I will, use a newer feather blade in here at some point, because I think it's likely to be a very good combination for me. I could definitely give myself some razor burn if I have a lapse in technique here. This is not a autopilot razor because it does give a nice close shave. So I could definitely cut myself up if I wasn't being too careful. Feels good. Let's rinse. Very glad that I kind of dried my face off earlier. Did it again. I am getting nice lather and feel. Yeah, I am definitely getting a cooling note here. I feel it especially now. So maybe this scent might be relegated to warmer days. And it looks like with this brush, that 25 seconds is going to be at least how much you want to load it for. I've got enough to do the job, no problem. I'm getting really nice slick rinses after each pass. So we're good there. Also, sometimes if you have a lather that's a little too thin for you, and you got the time and you just enjoy maybe the feel of the brush on your face, just kind of work it in. Just kind of keep working at it. And what'll happen is I've had it happen for a few different soap bases, but the water will evaporate as you're working, and then it'll gradually get thicker and thicker, creamier and creamier for you. I don't think I would want to add any more water to this mix than I did. As you can see, it's quite thin. However, it's thin. But in reality, in real shaving, you don't need Santa Claus's beard. You don't need thickness, because it's that thin layer that's on your skin, that's bonded to your skin. That's the money. That's what's protecting you. That's what gives you the nice glide. And that's its job. That's where anything else is just kind of extra. And yeah, pass number 2 was nice and comfortable. And the cooling sensation is building up with each shave, with each pass. Still not a bother, and so I'm glad about that. But in reality, I could see using this scent in the wintertime, because I like tea all the time. But with this cooling agent, I might relegate it to spring and summer in general. And there we go. Great feel. I'm going to do a final rinse, take a look at it. Yep, there is menthol in this soap. I didn't know about that. I'm so glad that it's not enough to bother me, in case I want to be able to keep this soap around, and I think I do. Definitely a nice sweet tea and peach inspired soap. And I do like the aquatic note. As a kid, we spent time at the beach, campgrounds and things like that, and so that aquatic note is kind of welcome. Here's a little peach tidbit. I grew up in South Carolina, and Georgia is known as the peach state, but South Carolina is actually the state that produces more peaches. All right. Well, as you can see, I do not have very much soap left over. I could probably scrounge up enough to do another pass, because I don't need a thick layer to do that. But we don't have a lot of margin with this particular shave, so I'm glad I did the 25 seconds. And I'll make I don't think I'm gonna keep this brush. I don't think I'll pass it on. It sure was fun to try, and it's a well-regarded name in the shaving industry, but I think this is one that I should pass on, let somebody use it who's a face latherer for the most part. 2 teaspoons of water was used to build up the lather, and it wouldn't go any more than that. Maybe 1.5 next time, and see and check it out. The feather worked out well, a little rough, a little bit of tugging, but it's been used 40 times, and a lot of people don't get that far with it. And what I do between each shave is take the razor apart very carefully. Put it over on my waiting hand towel. And I don't wipe the blades or anything like that. I just kind of pat them. I fold the towel over on them and just pat them just to kind of get water off of them. Dry off all the razor parts. That prevents any hard water buildup, because I do have hard water here and it is tepid. Let's throw a little bit of that on my face to use this liniment. Yeah, oh, nice close shave, really close. I don't think I can find, maybe one hair has some length on it, and I wasn't really trying too hard to get a super great shave. All right, let's see, will this liniment come out or is it stuck? Okay, there we go. Kind of a dark colored brown liniment. The liniment he quit making, and so it is hard to come by. And so I do have I think maybe I have 2 of those. So I want to keep this around for sure. I like to apply it with the grain of my beard growth, and that just helps not to stir up any friction, irritation, or anything like that. You can see a little bit of discoloration on my face. But then give it 10 minutes or so and it'll absorb, no problem at all. And I do have oily skin, and so sometimes this will feel tacky for a little while, but it's all good, keeping my skin looking young. All right, I believe I've showed you everything. The liniment here is not scented too strong, so that's cool. It's not going to offend anybody. I might like it if it was just a little stronger, but I'm good either way on this particular scent. I don't think my wife would be offended with a kind of a tea and peach type scent. I mean, it's not super masculine, but anyway. All right, I'm going to clean stuff up. We'll put another notch on the feather cap for this one, and I'll definitely use a new feather sometime soon with this razor, and try that out. So there we go. An older soap, since it's L&L Grooming. We know it's like early 2018 or sooner, or older, I think. I can't remember when they blended. And did great. I was really happy to snag that soap just to be able to try it. And I think I will keep it around because there's not too many like that. So I brought that to you. Another shave, trying out some of my favorite and more popular blades with the WR2, the razor, to kind of show that off for you. And always remember, blades are super subjective, and they can change per razor. A blade that I really enjoy in one razor may not work as well in another razor, or another razor might have a favorite that's different in all the other razors. So that's just, blades are subjective. And also because like yesterday's Bolzano in this particular razor, even if another person had this exact same razor and put a Bolzano in it, they may get a smoother shave than I did, or they may get a rougher shave. It's just so subjective. So I'm not saying this is how this razor and this blade will shave. I'm just saying that's how it will shave for me. All right, well, I'm going to clean up. I think we're good. I hope there's something here for you. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.